Alrighty legends, welcome back to Chasing Tangles Fishing Adventures. We are on the northeast of Tassie and we're about to hit the road and go over to the islands for the next couple of days, do some diving and some fishing. Got some massive days and going to chase some absolute monster crayfish. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Sit back and relax. Have a look at the absolute picturesque conditions. Have a look at this. Flat as flat can be. Just waiting on Big Hayden to come down now. He's wandering down. We'll pick him up and we'll hit the road steaming. Okay. Alright legends, we're about to jump in for the first dive. It's about 2:30 p.m. Beautiful conditions, about 20 metres of water. So have a look at the backdrop here, unreal. Absolutely incredible conditions, preservation island in the background. Let's get in there and see if we can find a few big dogs. So I've cruised on down to the bottom here between 16 and 20 metres of water, diving off a surface supplied air, so better known as a hookah, and get straight to work. Generally try and dive around a high tide or a low tide because the current around these island systems is insane. Very, very difficult to dive and can be very, very dangerous if you're not aware. So once I've got down there, you sort of learn to understand where you're going to sort of look for crays and the most likely spot. Wherever the food's sort of coming to will be the most likely spot you'll find good crays. I've come across this cave here. As you can see, it's fairly stirred up in there. And right up the very back of it, I can see a absolute cracker of a crayfish. So I've slowly eased in there. No real super risk. Plenty of room. So I've got a good grip on him and haven't realised quite how large he is till I've got one hand on him and he's going absolutely haywire. So trying to come out of there in reverse, and I've got this big bull going absolutely haywire on one end. Can make things quite challenging. You can't see anything, but just stay nice and relaxed and reverse out of there. And yeah, once I've got a good grip on him, he was pretty settled really. They can be a lot more aggressive, and he was, yeah, pretty calm on it considering. So bit of wham bam and straight in the bag. It went very, very smoothly. They don't generally play the game and go in quite smooth. So early in the dive to nail an absolute donkey, it definitely sets the spirit, and yeah, morale is through the roof, enthusiasm and pumped up on adrenaline. There's no feeling quite like it. So back to work, have a bit more of a look around and just enjoy it down there. Absolutely incredible spot. The colours and just the life on these islands is phenomenal. If you haven't experienced, there's nothing quite like it. He's got hold of the side of the bag there. So just try and get him, so I guess, so he's not locked onto it. If they do get clawed up like that, they can easily grab hold of your leg through the bag. So try and get him in there so he lets go of it. Bit of a jiggle and bit of a tussle with him, and he's let go. So after this one, it was time to move on. As you can see, I think the conditions speak for themselves. Absolutely incredible. Last potential dive spot for the day. Absolute beautiful conditions, a bit breezy now, but found an incredible spot here to jump in the water. It's about 17 or 18 metres of water, coming up to about 8 to 10. So hopefully get in there and let's find some big bulls. Let's go. So last dive spot, we've jumped in, started getting to work, having a look around. Current was absolutely pumping, so not ideal, does make it quite difficult. I've ended up locating a cray or southern rock lobster tucked right up the very back in this cave there. And I've just got nice and relaxed and inquisitive and I suppose a bit territorial. My hand's right there on the bottom and he's come charging and I've gone in for the shot and bam, there you go. Absolutely have nailed it. And now it's just a matter of perseverance, time, bit of shaking, pushing back and forth. I did manage to prime out successfully a well and truly nice southern rock lobster. So perseverance is key. Hold on tight and pry that one out successfully. That brings day one diving to a wrap. Pretty cooked at this point. An absolute big first day. Let's see what day two will hand out. This cheeky bastard, I've decided to have a shower and he is all over the squid. He's absolutely slaying them. What an incredible sunset there. Catching some absolute stonkers over at Preservation Island.
good squid.
He is a good squid. He's nailed another cracker. It's not his first one. He's absolutely slaying them. Might ban him for the rod for the night, I reckon, at this rate. I'll net it and see if I can knock it off for him. Oh, a lovely southern calamari there. Maybe if he ends up in the net, he will be a lovely one. Get in that fucking net, you cheeky bastard. I'm going to get inked here in a minute. Have a look at that. That is an absolute cracker southern calamari. He's done it again. Alright, legends, rounding off day one. We are camped up at Preservation Island, been diving here today, so pretty successful. And now we're just slaying a few big hoods. What an absolute epic backdrop. Day two, have a look at it, incredible. Let's find our next dive spot. So we've jumped in here. It's about 16 metres of water on the outer side of this rock here where all this fish life is about 20 to 22 metres of water. So getting down there a fair bit, absolutely incredible. The fish life and everything on this rock was next level. The tide has turned and my word, did it give me a run for my money. The current pushing down the side of this rock and sort of holding me down there was insane. Couldn't really swim up it. I was almost like rock crawling up the side of it to try and get to the inside of it where it was slightly less current, but definitely a bit of a daunting feeling when you're sort of a bit helpless being pushed down there, but stay nice and relaxed and just breathe and take your time. You've got plenty of time down there, so just relax. And yeah, I've found on the inside of this rock, which you'll see the terrain sort of change once I get up there. The current was still quite dramatic, but nothing like the other side. So just work with it. It is what it is, unfortunately. You do find pockets where it's a little more settled, then you'll pop up and the current will be roaring again. So I've persevered here in about 14 metres of water. And as you can see, the terrain changes dramatically, 5-10 metres apart. It's totally different. I think a lot of it comes down to the current and the current weather conditions. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We don't jump in there and, craze everywhere. Sometimes it does take a while. Sometimes we do have failed dives, but that's all part of the hunt. I've managed to locate one here in sort of like a little calm hole. And he's sort of half hanging out there. So they can be slightly more challenging when they're like this. They seem to be a lot more aware of what's going on. So I've approached him from the top side and I'm just going to go in for the two-handed grab and let's see what happens here. And there you go. I've got a nice grip on this one. He's going absolutely bonkers, as they normally do when they're out walking around or out the front of these holes. They can be just on some next level. I'm not entirely sure why or what happens, but as you can see, a nice male southern rock lobster there, probably around that 2 to 2.2 kilo. So a nice one to kick off day two. Let's just keep pushing on after that one. He went in the bag nice and smooth. Kept looking and hunting around, trying to stay out of that insane current. It's very tiring if you are working in that for a long sort of period. I've located another one probably 10, 15 metres away from that one. I've gone in for the grab and he's got the longest antennas I've ever seen on a medium-sized cray ever, and he is backed up in that rock, and to me being unaware, he's backed straight out of there, but not too far away. I found a little one there. I was going to grab him out, but didn't want to damage him, so second thoughts on that one. But yeah, just trying to avoid damaging them. But this nice bit of undercut ledge here, and I've just picked it up, and as you can see, there's one just there, pretty much hanging out, similar to the last one. So pretty straightforward sort of grab. A lot of these caves and little rock things do have an exit hole. As you can see, there's another one tucked up the back. So I've gone in for the grab. I've got a good grip on him. Not that you can really see for the bloody crayweed or kelp, whatever you want to call it. I've just moved that rock and just pull back and forth and a bit of wriggling, and he has came out. Another nice male there. Similar size to the last one. So can't complain with that. Pretty successful early on, which was probably a good thing as the weather conditions didn't play the game. As you can see, started cruising up here. Heaps of drags brought sharks come through. There was like a big school of them. And jellyfish in this current. I'm not entirely sure if you'll be able to tell how hard this current is drawing. When I pop up here, you might be able to. It was almost like being in a washing machine, the way it was drawing. It's yeah, pretty impressive how it just appears from nowhere. So I've just piggybacked onto the dive hose. All right, legends, we're at the tail end of another day. What an absolute mission, my word. It's turned to absolute shit, the conditions. But we're back on land, so also like this video, don't forget to hit subscribe. More big things coming. What a mission this one was. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.